And this is dua. But then we have something else, and this is mentioned in the Bible. It says, pray unceasingly. Well, there's no way you could stand in Salah all the time or stand with your hands like this all the time, and that's referring to praying to God in your heart all the time, thinking about God, being God conscious and so on. There's a word for that in Arabic, and that's called dhikr. Dhikr, or some people pronounce it zikr. Zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that's to be thinking of Allah, Allahu Akbar, Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillah. And this is one form of prayer, but it has a different name. So dhikr, dua, and now we'll come to Salah. Salah is the ritual where we stand, bow, prostrate, and do all these things. And we call it prayer, but it doesn't have any equivalent in English because you don't have anything equivalent in the Western world. There isn't something
Well,
like
it's a
that.
bit rich having an American come here criticizing English.
Well, you guys have already messed up the English language pretty bad over here. Us Texans are the only ones that really know how to speak it right anymore. Anyhow, best out of Hajj. It's by Abu Munir Davids. He did a good job, and I like the way the publisher put it together. But let's mention some prayers. Now we're going to be talking about supplications. There are supplications within the Quran itself that are really, really nice to do in Hajj. And one of them that I like to refer to is the one that was the supplication of Jonah. You remember Jonah and the whale? Mm-hmm. Okay, when you read it in the Bible, there's a whole book called the Book of Jonah in there. You get the same story pretty much that we have in the Quran, that Jonah, or his name actually is pronounced Yunus. And when Yunus left the people of Nineveh, he went out to the ship and he abandoned his post. He was supposed to be giving them the message and calling them to worshiping Allah alone, but they wouldn't do it. Not one, nobody. So he got fed up and he left without permission from Allah. He just left and he went out to the ship. And when he did, he got out there in the water, then a storm came up. And the people were trying to figure out by superstition what was the problem, trying to appease the gods and let me get out of this thing. And they tried different things, and he said, no, it's me. And they cast lots, and they did things, and they kept pointing to him. He said, it's me. They said, but you're a righteous guy. You're a good guy. We're clods, you know. But he said, no, throw me overboard. When they threw him overboard, the storm stopped. The ship sailed away and left him there. And a whale gobbled him up, swallowed him, and it's called hoot. In Arabic, you say hoot.
Hoot.
It's not a hoot, it's a hoot. Anyway, and that was the whale, took him down to the bottom of the sea, and he stayed down there for days and nights, and in that condition, there, without light, without food, without, nothing, he was totally incarcerated, you would say, in prison, and worse, because it's digesting him. So he's in a bad way. And it came to him in his mind to say this. I'm going to read it to you from the Quran. It's really beautiful. And it says, La ilaha illa anta subhanaka inni kuntum min adh-dhalimin. And this you'll find in the surah called the Prophets, Al-Anbiya. It's chapter 21, verse 87. La ilaha illa ant means there is no deity worthy to worship illa except for you, Allah. And then it says, Subhanaka, and this is to glorify the majesty of Allah. Glory and majesty to you. Inni kuntum min adh-dhalimin. For sure, I'm the one who did dhulm, wrongdoing to myself. And boy, isn't this psychologically proven to be a healthy approach to admit, I'm wrong, I made a mistake, I'm not blaming anybody else, I'm the guilty party here. As soon as he did this, imagine this 14 years ago, the psychology is here. As soon as he does that, that's when Allah sends the whale up to the surface and spits him out. He goes back to his people. What you can see from this is the actual people being in Hajj. You'll hear them in Hajj, and you'll hear the famous thing that goes along with doing Hajj. Labbaik Allahumma labbaik. Labbaik la sharika laka labbaik. Inna alhamda. وَالنِّعْمَةَ لَكَ وَالْمُلْكَ لَا شَرِيكَ لَكَ. And it's, labbaik means, I'm here. Here I am. Mm-hmm. Here I am. Oh Allah, here I am. Because Allah told us to come. And here I am. Labbaik Allahumma labbaik. Here I am, oh Allah, here I am. And then you say it again. Labbaik Allah sharika laka labbaik. I'm here and you have no partners in worship.
again, it's one of those, for me anyway, it was a real spine-tingling moment, hearing it just sweep right, over everyone's heads. It was.
You hear people chanting it all together. You don't have to do that, by the way. They're chanting together. You can chant it individually.
Oh, right.
It wasn't really done that way at their time, but we do it now. Everybody likes to do it together.
Yeah, it just sounds amazing.
It's beautiful.
And it's okay for women and men because you can you can distinctly hear women's voices in there as well.
I would recommend the women not to get too loud, but yeah, I'd say it anyway because it's there's no order that I found that said the women couldn't do it. There might be some that have the opinion that women have to say it under their breath, but I never saw the evidence for it. But I don't think the women should ever get so loud that they'd be heard over the men. It doesn't make sense, But if she's from Texas, I don't know. My wife gets pretty loud sometimes, but no, seriously, it's something that everybody says. Labbaik Allahumma labbaik, la sharik, labbaik Allahumma labbaik, labbaik la sharika lak, labbaik innal hamda wa ni'mata lak wal mulk la sharika lak. And the whole idea is there you're glorifying Allah, you're letting Him know you're there, and He has no partners, and that this purpose that I'm here for is this Hajj. That's the whole thing. And we hope Allah will accept everybody's Hajj. We've talked about Hajj. I wanted, before we leave the subject, if we could, I'd like us to shift it gears for a little bit and close this out and then move to one other little subject before we end the program. Hajj itself is not complete without one particular ingredient. There's many things in Hajj that have to be there, but you can compensate. If something could happen, you could still compensate for it. For instance, my first time, almost broke my leg. I had to have it in a cast. I couldn't go stone the jami, the jamirat, throwing the stones. So I would pick the stones myself and give them to somebody, and then they would go throw them for me. I did that because I couldn't get up there any other way. It would have been too dangerous. I could have got hurt. And they said, it's no problem. I said, what about my wife? They said, well, she needs to take care of you, and we want to keep her with you, and we don't want her out there without a man with her or something could happen. So she stayed as well, and she also gave those pebbles. And on her opinion, she felt like that was deficient, and she wanted to do Hajj again, which we later did, and she felt better about it. But, so you can see there's things that can be compensated, to my point. But there's one thing that you can't compensate for. It has to be there or you don't have Hajj. What is it? On the 9th day of Dhul Hijjah, you have to be sitting in the place called Arafat, on the plain of Arafat. If you're not there on that day from the time in the morning until the sun goes down, you don't have Hajj. You've got to come back and redo that. You have to. That's the ruling. And here are some of the things that go with that day. Let's talk about that day. You've been in Mina, okay, and you're ready to go for your out to Arafat. You go in from Mina to the Haram in Mecca, and you do 7 ambulations around the Kaaba.
Why 7?
That's what it says to do. They've been doing 7 ever since the time of the Prophet ﷺ, and that's what we do. Why 2 rak'ahs for Fajr? Why 3 for Maghrib? Good question. Then, after that, there's 2 rak'ahs are performed, rak'atain, over in Ibrahim's station, Maqam Ibrahim. Then the 7 sa'i between Safa and Marwa. And then basically there's some du'as that are done, and then take off and get out there to Arafat. When you get to Arafat, then you want to find a place to get in the shade. Be sure, let me give you some tips. Be sure that you take water with you. Be responsible to be sure there's water for everybody. Bottled water. Bottled water. And the best you can get is Zamzam. We didn't talk about Zamzam, but I'd like to mention that.
I have some Zamzam here.
Oh, look at this.
Yeah.
Look at this. Let me see that. Is that real Zamzam?
It is.
This is not just a sign for the crop.
Some,
May I, please?
You can.
Just a little bit.
Some Islam Channel viewers recently brought some back for me, and what a wonderful gift.
Oh, I know it's Zamzam. I know Zamzam when I drink it. It's got that mineral taste. I love it. Every drop is good. Good to the last drop, and that one's good too. Zamzam. You know what Zamzam means? It's not Arabic.
What is it?
That is what Hajj said. When the water started coming out of the ground, it was coming out so profusely, she was worried that she was going to drown. It was just going everywhere. So she said in her dialect, which she was from Egypt, she said, Zion, Zion, go back, go back. That's where God stands for, Zion. Trivia, you needed to know that.
Yes, but you know, it's little nuggets like these that enrich Hajj.
Makes it neat when you're doing stuff to know little things like that. Anyway, I'll come back to this, that here you are out there and you don't realize some of the dangers. One of the biggest dangers is not to have any food. And you say, why? I could fast. No, there's a law. It's hot out there. Allah is going to make sure that day is hot. He almost always, only a couple times have I seen it rain out there on that day. It's very rare. In fact, it's so much so people start crying if they see rain on the day of Arafat. Day of Arafat, 9th day of Dhul Hijjah, here you are out there. You got your water, but the other thing you need to have a tomato or an orange or a banana or some cucumber, something that you can carry along with you. It's easy to carry, but you can get it open and get that food out of there because your body is going to be depleted from minerals and for energy, of course, that you need sugar, and you need to have water. Be sure you do that. And be sure to watch for your friends and people accompanying you there, your companions. Watch them. If you see somebody start to go like this, then get to them right away, get some water for them and help them. And then, now the next thing is you're out there. What's going to happen? What's going to happen is that you're going to get really engrossed in things that are going on. You've got all these plans. I'm going to pray for this, ask for that, because this is the day to ask. Whatever you were going to ask for in your life is going to be answered. If it's ever going to be answered, it's going to be answered right there. You can be surprised how many people prayed for things and they got it immediately. But raise your hands and ask and ask and ask and don't stop. Now, after that, for a period of time, the Imam or Amir with you, he's going to say it's time for the prayer. And they're going to offer two prayers together. There's going to be the prayer of Dhuhr, the noon prayer, the prayer of Asr, the afternoon prayer, and you're going to pray them together. First you'll pray 2 rak'ahs, and then you'll have a break in there, and then you'll pray 2 rak'ahs. And these are the 2 prayers of the traveler, which we do as well.
And you shouldn't be afraid to ask. I mean, I'm a convert from, I was a Protestant, and I've met Catholic reverts, and you know, we all have this character or this trait that we don't like to ask Allah for anything. We're like asking for other people, but not for ourselves.
It's very important to ask Allah.
And this is something that is very important to reverts to Islam. Do not be afraid to ask Allah for.
Yeah, and also, by the way, while we're on the subject about asking, anything you hear us say in this program that doesn't sound right to you, go ask somebody. We could be wrong. We make mistakes. I'm relying on a couple of books I've got laying here in my old brain, and I make mistakes all the time.
Well, I'm asking most of the questions, and you're doing the talking. How's that for shoving over the responsibility?
Yeah, well, that's a smart way to do it.
But no, it is important, though, isn't it? Because, you know, just little things that you have to question, and because.
Well, let me give you something else now. Here we are. We're out there. We've done our Dhuhr prayer and Asr prayer. That's done now. Now the sun goes down. Now you're supposed to be really asking and asking, but what's going to happen? You're going to be tired. Some people fall asleep out there. And some people get sunburned laying out there. And you didn't realize you're going to get sunburned. So you want to be careful to get under some kind of shelter somewhere as much as you can from that sun, because it's going to dehydrate you. It's going to burn you. You're going to be sick if you don't listen to me. Now, after this takes place, sun's going down, it's time to pray. You're used to praying Maghrib right now and there, yeah? Don't pray. Don't do it, because you're supposed to get in your bus or on your camel or whatever you got and head out. You're going on a journey now. And you're going to travel to a place called Muzdalifah. When you get to Muzdalifah, this is the place where they used to stop. Now, it's changed since I was there the first time. The first time I was there, it's still pretty much like it was centuries back. And here we are, I remember this experience. Here we are, there's nothing but rocks. Nothing but rocks. And under the rocks, more rocks. Over the rocks, more rocks. That's all there was in all directions. Piles and piles of rocks. Saudi government's done amazing things. They've done some great, wonderful things since I first went there. Make it easy for the pilgrims. They have toilets.